Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, this afternoon, government is considering suspending the price stabilization and recovery levy as part of efforts to cushion consumers against a potential surge in global oil prices should the Israel-Iran conflict escalate further. The conflict has already triggered a 3% rise in global oil prices since markets reopened following the U.S. strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Now, speaking to Joe, new spokesperson for the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxon, assured that there is enough fuel reserves should the war escalate further. He goes on to say that he does not mind using the price stabilization levy to support consumers, and that's the posture of government. We'll listen to him shortly, but let me bring you a report capturing all the major events since the war began. Listen to the spokesperson for the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxon, assuring that government is putting measures in place to reduce the impact of the war on the economy.
As we speak, we have enough wells in the country to ensure that in the immediate term, we don't have any shortage of fuel on the local market. We have enough reserves to take us between 2 to 3 months. If you look at what BOST has and also what the BDCs also have. So one, we have enough reserves. And number two, whether or not government will take a decision pushing consumers using the price stabilization levy, for example, will depend on the impact. So there are a number of measures that government has put in place, but what the impact will be on the international fuel market will trigger which option the government should use. For now, there's a price stabilization levy, which is in the price build-up for some of these measures. And depending on how the impact is, the government has a number of options to exercise. You know, there are levies and margins on it.
Even if it comes to suspending it, they don't mind suspending it.
Well, if that is what will give the people of Ghana some respite within the period, government's options are open. At the end of the day, the government will take the appropriate measure to protect the consumer.
Meanwhile, policy analyst Peter Tekpa is urging government to restore bulk oil storage and transportation company limited BOSS to avert future shocks.
The focus, if government had enough fuel reserves, then we won't have a problem. And what will happen is that whilst prices are going up, then government will have been releasing the reserves into the system. That is why it's important that a strategic asset like BOST and TOR, they need to be working. So that when you have enough reserves, then when there is such impact, in order to, cushion the impact on the Ghanaian, what you do is that you release this reserve into the system. A practical example, assuming Ghana has 5 months of stock of fuel, for instance, in this scenario, whilst prices are going up, then government will be releasing this into the system so that the cost of fuel price that is going up will be diluted with this strategic reserve that we have. Unfortunately, we don't have that.
Well, Ghana, as the chair of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, is calling for dialogue and diplomatic pathways to resolve the conflicts. Joy News' editor, Fred Smith, joins me in the studio with more of this as we just look at some of the key things in this statement. He's joining us via Zoom, and that statement is on your screens, as we can see. So let me just run you through the statement on your screens right now. It says that the government of Ghana welcomes today's Europe-Iran diplomatic rapprochement, which is aimed at achieving a cessation of heightened hostilities between Israel and Iran. We take the considered view that this diplomatic initiative should be embraced and encouraged by the international community. It goes on to state that Ghana has always maintained that sincere and genuine diplomatic engagement is the only viable, pragmatic, and humane option to resolving the current conflict. Goes on to state, as chair of the governing board of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Ghana has consistently championed dialogue and diplomatic pathways towards resolving the concerns of all parties. Ghana urges Israel to reconsider its position and participate in the ongoing diplomatic talks. And it goes on to state that the devastating effect of this conflict is already being felt in by the international community, and further escalation will only exacerbate the consequences. While still on the Israel-Iran war, reports indicate that the Iranian parliament is considering closing the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for U.S. strikes on its nuclear facilities. Now, this move could potentially shut down the world's busiest oil shipping route. Now, that could come with some challenges for third world countries like Ghana, who deepen and depend on import. While experts are warning of severe implications if this happens, what measures can government take to ensure they're mitigating the impact on us Ghanaians? Well, let's broaden the conversation and bring in Justice Kojo. He is a key member of the African Center for Energy Policy. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. We've seen this play out before. First, it was COVID, then the Ukraine-Russia war, and now it's Israel-Iran. Where do we stand as a country, and how do we plan to mitigate the impact? That's the conversation we are having this afternoon. From where you sit, what should government do, really?
And you mentioned the thermal oil refinery.
Exactly. A very important conversation which we must have. We just heard recently from the acting managing director for TOR, and he said that our debt currently stands at some $517 million. This is an institution that hasn't been operating for the past 4 years.
Yes, I mean, these are very serious problems that we have neglected over the years. When we were paying the toll debt recovery levy, the idea was to ensure that the company becomes liquid. But you see, when you impose a levy and neglect to fix the debt accumulation problem, then you are just pouring water into a basket, as it were. So when we got to the point where the toll debt recovery levy was added to the energy sector levies and converted into ESLA, and we got a bond to be able to settle the legacy debts. Now, the levy that we are paying is now going to settle the ESLA bonds, to pay the coupons on the ESLA bonds. So it's no longer going into paying off the financial obligations of TOR, as it were. So the debt has been piling up. So now you would notice that for a larger period, like you said, 4 years now, they've not been operational. The company has become more like a tank storage for a lot of these BDCs. And when they take their products there are discrepancies, right? Some of the products get missing, and there are claims on the company that the company have to pay. For a company that has not been operational for some time now, the staff capacity has been increasing, right? How are you going to pay for all of those? So all of those structural problems have to be fixed to ensure that TOR becomes a viable option for us.
But then let me come in at this point. How about privatization? We're seeing our counterparts in Nigeria leverage the oil drilling industry by ensuring that they set up a refinery. But this is being spearheaded by a private individual. Should we consider that moving forward, since we have the oil in this country and we have companies already drilling the oil?
I mean, it's a really complex array of options that we have. There is a reason why we have not given our oil to TOR, the oil that comes to the state to refine, to solve the problems that we are solving, because there is no guarantee that the $1 billion that we get on an annual basis from oil revenues, when you give that oil to TOR, you'll be able to get that revenue. So we have to fix TOR. And one of the options, like you rightly said, is probably injecting some private participation in the operation and the management of the company so that it is managed with a more commercial mindset to be able to retool the infrastructure and to be able to ensure that it runs efficiently. But that depends on the appetite of government to take their hands off the company and allow a private entity to come and manage it. Because like it or not, toll has become part of the political patronage system, where, like I was saying, for a company that has not been operational for 4 or 5 years, the staff strength of the company, the staff capacity has been increasing. What exactly are people going to do there? Because it has become part of the political patronage system, it is difficult for the politicians to take their hands off it to ensure that it operates like a commercial entity. So that is a conversation that we can have. While we are thinking of that as well, we can also look to the regional supply chain. Like you mentioned, Dangote Refinery has the installed capacity to feed the whole West African market for refined products. So in the medium to long term, how do we open up channels to ensure that we get some supply from just nearby Nigeria so that we are circumventing the need to go bring in products from Europe that will cost you much more to bring the products into the country. So those are options that we can explore in the medium to long term to ensure that we are able to smoothen consumption, we are able to smoothen prices when we have some of these challenges within the system.
Thank you so much, Justice Kojo Yauche. He is one of the key leading members for the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Well, still on energy-related issues, the Energy Commission, in partnership with the Ghana Education Service and Ghana TVET Service, has hosted the 6th Volta Regional Renewable Energy Challenge in Ho with the theme Sustainable Energy for a Healthier Future. The event saw brilliant students from 10 senior high schools unveil groundbreaking solutions in renewable energy, food security and health delivery. Adidome SHS emerged champions, proving that the future of clean energy innovation may well lie in the hands of these young visionaries. Ivy Setoji has more in the following report.
This year's regional competition was held under the theme Sustainable Energy for a Healthier Future. The focus areas include food security, waste management, and health delivery. The competition provided a platform for second cycle institutions to develop research skills, promote technological innovation in renewable energy and energy efficiency, and instill in students a passion for solving challenges related to renewable energy, clean energy, energy efficiency, and climate change. The initiative also aimed to develop the presentation and communication skills of senior high school students. 10 schools participated in the regional challenge. They are Zion College, Aveno Senior High, Bandu Technica, Anglo Senior High, Awudome Senior High, Adidome Senior High, Peche, Vakpo, Chito, and Peki. And his opening remarks, the Volta Regional Director of the Ghana Education Service, Francis Agbemadi, proposed that organizers and stakeholders explore how to institutionalize post-challenge support. He suggested the creation of incubation centers, funding avenues, patent assistance, and mentorship frameworks to help transform students' brilliant ideas into impactful, sustainable solutions.
I respectfully propose that we explore how to institutionalize post-challenge support through incubation centers, funding avenues, patent assistance, and mentorship framework to help transform these brilliant ideas into impactful, sustainable solutions. In the light of this, I appeal to all stakeholders, government bodies, private sector organizations, development partners, NGOs, philanthropists, and the wider community to rally behind vision. Supporting innovation in education is not an act of charity. It is a strategic investment in Ghana's future. Let us equip our young people with resources and platforms they need to convert their creativity into meaningful impact.
Deputy Director in charge of renewable energy at the Energy Commission, Frederick Appiah, explained the rationale behind the project, stating that it helps students bring out innovative ideas that can contribute to national development.
The idea stems from the Renewable Energy Act, which says that the Energy Commission should collaborate with the relevant institution to create certain kind of collaboration and also develop educational materials in relation to renewable energy and energy efficiency, mainstream it into our second cycle educational curriculum. So we've been collaborating with Ghana Education Service and recently TBS Services to institute this challenge. We've been doing regional, it's in 3 components. So then we have the regional competitions where each region select the best 10 schools to compete and present innovative and certain kind of ideas or concept or prototype that solve a particular problem using renewable energy. Over the years, we've been looking at renewable energy solving, let's say, agriculture problem. So they developed smart agriculture technologies using renewable energy. Last year, we're looking at waste management and water pollution using renewable energy. And the students have been coming up with different innovative projects and concepts that are able to solve national.
After a keenly contested competition among the 10 schools, Hadidoma Senior High School emerged as winner and will represent the Volta region at the zonal competition. Speaking on behalf of the winning team, student representative Ephraim Dotumo attributed their success to hard work and determination. He assured that the team will work hard to raise the flag of the Volta region high at the next stage of the competition.
There is a saying that everything you want, you need to